This is the Inspection Pros Podcast, where we break down everything you need to know to grow a successful home inspection company. Join host Jake as we get insider knowledge from the industry's best on how to take your business to the next level.
Welcome back to Inspection Pros. Today we have with us Jeff Howell, the VP of Special Projects at Super Inspector. Jeff, I'm excited to have here today to talk about a couple of things that are very important. Hiring and getting inspectors ready to generate profits, or generate revenue. So, Jeff, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jake, for the invitation. Pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure. So, Jeff, just to lay the groundwork a little bit, could you let us know what's your origin story in the home inspection industry? How long have you been in the industry? What's your experience? What have you been working on?
Okay, well, I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. Actually, my dad was a home builder, and so I was, from the time I could carry a shovel and clean out a house till working most summers as different trades for carpentry, HVAC, things like that. Did carpentry most of the time. Did that for a while, but then I ended up I went to TCU, Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, and then I went to Vanderbilt Divinity School, and I was a minister for about 28 years, and then retired from that, and trying to figure out what I could do. I thought about doing handyman and stuff like that, and I started doing some of that. Then I quickly discovered that certain jobs, like laying tile, things like that, would, because of my age, put me out of commission for a couple days. I was like, well, I don't know that I can promise somebody that I'll be there on a Thursday. I might do something crazy on the day before. So I was actually painting a store when it just came to me about home inspections. I don't know really why. Just kind of that led back to that, thinking about it. So I pursued that, got my license, started to try and kind of do it on my own. Had my own company that I set up and all of that, and was kind of going slowly. And I kept running into a growth representative. His name was Matt from Super Inspector at all the MLS meetings, trying to connect with real estate agents. He's one of the only guys that would talk to me, so we kind of struck up a friendship. Finally, I just said, you know what, I'm going to come talk to you guys. So I did. I got to meet Blake and Angela, and I started with them in 2017. So all of 2015-16, I was doing my licensing and trying to start my own. But it was the best decision I ever made to join them. So then I was an inspector for about a year and a half in the field or so, and did about 1,000 inspections and so, and was really kind of enjoying that. It was, it was very therapeutic for me, being able to look at something that's an inanimate object that doesn't talk back to you, right? In a house.
Yep.
And only got to talk to people for about an hour but it was good for me. Plus the therapeutic side was I could actually be done with something. I could complete it and hand them a report. So I was just doing my little thing, and then slowly Blake, the owner, started to learn a little bit more about some of my skills. I was trying to keep it hidden. So he started pulling me in from the field a little bit, and I started working on a dedicated commercial inspection division for the company. So I put all that together, kind of built that business, and usually what I do now is I kind of build the things that he has a dream about, or we vision cast and try and make them reality. So I did that with the commercial division, trained some different people in that, and to take that over. Then we started a whole host of companies under Super Team Services. So we started with a concierge business that helps with home connections, utility connections, internet, moving, pest control, insurance, all those kinds of things. Whatever you need, the concierge will help you out with. Put that business together. Then we kind of did some bolts, because that was just mainly gathering vendors and connecting people with vetted vendors and so forth. But the whole purpose of that was to extend and make a relationship with homeowners more than just the one time at a home inspection, but to create the lifetime that they own a home. And so then we did another bolt-on company for handyman and renovations. So we got that up and running and started, hired people into that, mission, vision, values, the whole thing. Then we started pest control. So, and then they eventually started their own utilities within concierge. So there's kind of 4 companies under that Super Team Services. And actually, we're working to rebrand the whole thing and bring Super Inspector underneath that whole umbrella of Super Team Services. So now the last thing that I've been working on is the school. So we've always done continuing education in Super Inspector with our real estate agents as part of our growth initiatives and strategies, is just meet with them like everyone does in offices, but we would give them a credit and so forth. So I put the school together, I got the providership in place for continuing education, then we broadened that into several kind of advanced inspector training classes that we offer. And then that's all here in Texas, and TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission, is the main people. And then we spent all of 2000, when was it, 20 or so, 21 maybe, working on becoming a provider for qualifying education, they call it here. It's pre-licensing for inspector. And in Texas, you got to jump through a bunch of hoops, and we did all that. Got approved for the providership. Then it was the whole Herculean task of putting together all the online courses. There's 7 different modules. Put all that together online, got all that approved. So we're up and running with that now. We've got about 25 students in there for inspectors, people looking to change careers. So they're doing the pre-qualifying education to get their license. And we also continue to do continuing education. So it's just another way we can, I don't know, let me stop for a second and ask you a question. I'll let you talk. I've been talking a long time.
Yeah. So I'm very excited to hear about this school because this is one of the great reasons to have you on, to talk about education and how that can inform your business and how you can hire inspectors through education and maybe connections with schools, and help them to earn revenue and get a business going. So all this is great with the school. Everything you guys are doing sounds amazing. But I'm wondering, is this school something that is it Texas specific? Is it you could be doing it from anywhere in the country? Because I heard you say online courses and stuff like that. Give us some details on the school, if anyone at home is listening and watching and wondering.
Sure thing. So we called it Super Inspector Training Academy, or SITA, SITA, we call it for short. And the real mission behind it is to raise the standards of the inspection industry, to just raise up the customer service, to raise up the ability of inspectors to perform quality, high performance inspections that are really holistic in nature and more customer oriented in nature. And so yes, we have been approved by TREC to provide all the courses you need to get through the TREC education and receive a license. But a lot of it translates to other states as well. So there's kind of 4 main modules that are around a national curriculum that relates to the national test that many states have to you have to get approval through or pass that exam. And we're working on an actual SITA SOP, or standards of practice, as we speak, to then package that with those classes and offer those in other states. On the continuing ed side, we are a continuing ed provider in Oklahoma and Missouri, working on Kansas and Arizona. Those applications are active. So we're following the places where Super Inspector is trying to grow and expand into. So we have inspectors in Oklahoma City and Kansas City and Arizona. Working on Las Vegas right now. Working on a Maryland connection, and I think Tulsa and so forth. So
that's great.
We'll kind of follow the providerships along that way and get things ready, but we're also, available to do it nationally.
Yeah.
And I've offered a lot of our advanced inspections courses are kind of around kind of the ancillary or the optional, what are called optional classes for inspectors. So like pools and irrigation and spas and wells and septic and foundation performance, things like that. So beyond just what you're kind of getting the schooling.
Yeah, so I see what you guys are doing. You're going out exploring these new areas. You're training inspectors in these areas, and that way, when you're ready to expand there, you get a whole crop of new hires, huh?
Right. So it's, I mean, obviously we're not necessarily as a school trying to sell super inspector. We just want people to have a career,
No, that's awesome.
and
That's
connect
awesome.
people with a chance. And, if they migrate towards us, that's fine. We also will, I envision in the future having a pool of candidates that can be open to anybody, looking for other people, even if we're not in those particular cities. But the larger thing is really to advance the whole inspection industry across the nation.
Yeah.
Just raise the standard of it, as I said, raise the kind of quality of it, and as well as for the real estate side, real estate and agents, better understanding how to leverage all this knowledge that we're giving them within the transaction. So one of the biggest keys for any inspection business, if you're looking at it as a multi-inspector firm, is learning how to train inspectors efficiently and quickly, but give them the competence as well as the confidence to get out there and perform on their own, and have the consistency within the culture and the kind of processes and procedures of a particular company, and to reduce the time that it usually takes for that. Typically that's about anywhere a 6 months to 8 month process for some.
Wow.
We had it down to about 3 to 4 months, and what we're really trying to do is get it down to about 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the inspector, so that we can get them out in the field inspecting more quickly. That's just the big nut in our industry to have to crack open, and is to find a way to do that.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure it's all
and retain them. And yeah, so just so you can scale, it's so hard to wait. Plus, a lot of times you wait all that time, and then they don't work out in the end, and you've spent a lot of money, $10, $12, even $20,000 trying to train somebody.
Yeah.
So we're trying to reduce the time, reduce the cost, but keep that level high enough where, they're quality inspectors coming out on the other end.
That's awesome. That's some great stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's so important to your bottom line to be able to use time efficiently in all aspects of business. But on the other hand, are there any business lessons that are learned here as well in these schools, or is it like to help you grow with the home inspection business, or is it all technical home inspection education?
No, we do both.
That's great.
So there is obviously a technical side in terms of the communication. You've got to get through the modules to be able to pass the national and state exams. So we try and really help you with that. But a lot of our advanced inspector classes are more on how to inspect these things, not only technically, but also how you communicate the information. And we have specific courses as well on communication. How do I share this information? How do I relate to my clients, to the agents? All of that. That's a huge thing for super inspector. We like to hire more the spirit and the ability of someone to communicate, and less on the technical side.
Can you speak to that?
You can teach anybody how to inspect the house. You can't necessarily teach them the innate skills of how to relate to somebody and communicate. Now, you certainly can coach them up, but it's best if it comes from within who they are.
Yeah.
And so
one thing's way easier to teach.
Yeah, we were at the IEB Unite conference and did some surveying, and a lot of the information that we got back is very interesting. About 60% of those we surveyed, in one way or another, on certain questions that we asked, migrated towards, the biggest need, the biggest gap they have are training inspectors, again, in communication and verbal presentation, in relating to their client.
Wow.
Those types of things, as opposed to, like you're saying, the hard technical skills of inspecting a house. So we're going to be developing more and more classes on that. And then we had to have, next to that, we kind of consult with people, all right, to how do we put together a package that works for you. So we'll sit down with an inspection company and say, here's kind of the tools we have, but how can we customize this to fit what you're trying to do, and make it work for everybody.
So if someone is hearing this podcast and sounds interested in this, how do they find you? How do they find the school? Do you have a website? What's the best way to check
Yeah, we
it
have a
out?
website. It's straight up superinspectortrainingacademy.com, all strung together. No dots or anything. Superinspectortrainingacademy.com. Go to our website, read a little bit more about our mission, vision, values there, and see some of the courses and so forth. Our numbers there, it's 940-336-SITA, SITA. So
All right.
940-336-SITA. And call us on that, and they'll be happy to talk to anyone.
All right.
Well, they can look me up on LinkedIn or whatever and get my mobile phone, call me. I don't care.
All right, yeah.
I love to talk to people.
So reach out to Jeff, check out the school. It sounds very interesting, and we're going to talk more about it in a moment. I do have some more questions for you, but in the meantime, we're going to take a quick moment to hear a word from our sponsor, Pair Payments, and then we'll be right back.
The home inspection industry is highly competitive, and you need an edge to stay on top. You certainly can't afford to give profit away for no reason. But what if I told you credit card processors may be overcharging you and robbing you of profits you've worked hard to earn? It's time to put an end to being overcharged for payment processing. It's time to take back your profits. That's why we put together a free report, How to Avoid Being Overcharged by Your Payment Processor. Head over to TakeBackYourProfits.com, download the report, and put an end to being overcharged for credit card processing. You've worked hard for your sales, and you deserve to keep it. What are you waiting for? Go to TakeBackYourProfits.com and download your report today.
All right, now I am back. This is Jake Aronson with Inspection Pros, and today we have with us Jeff Howell, who has done a great job so far in this podcast. And Jeff, just based on your perspective in the industry, what you've been doing, you're running a school. There's a lot going on. I'm wondering, do you have that top-down perspective of what's working in the industry? What should you be looking for when you're hiring? And then also the flip side of that, what should a new inspector be looking for an employer when they're looking to get hired?
Okay, great question. I think the industry is a little bit seasonal. Obviously, it ebbs and flows with the market, and also when people are moving, more likely to move right now, and schools are over. And it's the summertime. Everybody's looking to kind of get reestablished before the next school year starts. So this is our busy season. Kind of starts really, but after the Super Bowl and going forward through about November or so, Thanksgiving, it slows down a little bit in those months. But that's all relative to the market that you're in. One of our primary markets and where our main offices are is in the DFW area. So it still brings a lot of people. A lot of people are moving here because of COVID. Trying to find climates that are warmer, where there's more activity outside that you can do, where certain governments or local governments are, however you might say that, willing to work with COVID restrictions and all of that, which is certainly important. But that's one of the hiring things. But I mean, we're looking. Like I said before, super inspector really, in terms of inspectors, looks for, personality first, and we use some assessment tools to give people that kind of map out the preferred work environment that they like, and there's certain patterns that we look for in home inspectors, and the types of things that they enjoy doing. So that helps. Weed out a lot.
So,
and kind of.
I'm not looking for you to give up the farm here, but do you have any tips, any golden nuggets there of what to exactly look for?
Well, so a home inspector, in terms of like their personality drive as an individual, is really a little bit more of kind of a team player, right? They're concerned about everyone's opinion, not just their opinion only. Right, because you're trying to communicate this information to an agent and a client, so you need everybody to kind of gain consensus around the information. So that's important. The ability to work through kind of a concise process flow, right? And the way rather than just real chaotic, they need to enjoy working through kind of processes thing at a time. A little more detail oriented as well. Those are some of the major traits that go with home inspecting. We hire lots of people, though. I mean, we have growth people, we have operations people, call center people, and there's patterns for all those different things. We have within our operations now a whole HR department that works nonstop interviewing people. There's always somebody on the bench. We're always, having new goals. This past month was to hire 40 people in 1 month.
Wow.
They're chugging at it all the time. We started a process also of onboarding people that come to the company. It used to kind of happen haphazardly, but as we've grown, now we have a new hire orientation day, which is actually tomorrow. I think we have 10 people coming in for that. And we just talk to them, try to get to know them, share our mission, vision, values, try and understand what their passions are, what their drivers are, so that we can be a place that just offers opportunity for them to grow. That's one of the keys is offering people, I think, today the opportunity to pursue their dreams and their passions, right? COVID taught us anything. It's about, our mental health and well-being, as well as I want to do something that people have reconnected with what's important to them and what they enjoy doing. And they're not going to waste time, right, on jobs that don't allow that. And so we try and connect with that and put people in the right seats on the bus that connect with those passions, and so that it's a good fit for everyone, give them a good life-work balance and so forth.
That's great. And so on this podcast even, but a lot in the industry at these events, you had mentioned IEB, which I'm sure if someone's listening to this podcast, they're familiar with it because we talk about it all the time. But a lot of these events, you hear people say, I just can't find anyone good. I can't find any good inspectors. No one wants to work right now. What do you have to say to that? Is it just that you got to know where to look for good hires, good inspectors? What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, we have a good pool of people all the time coming through, and it's really just about cast and vision. So our overall mission as a company is to provide opportunity and super experiences for our clients, our agents, and everybody we serve. So we are always casting the vision of opportunity. All right.
Yeah.
That's always what's exciting about either in existing markets or even in expansion markets is finding people. I mean, there's people in Arizona, there's people in Las Vegas I don't even know yet who are, someday we're gonna bump into them and we're gonna connect, and they're gonna change their career and become a home inspector, and just basically change the whole trajectory of their life, right? And that's really neat to be a part of, right? To give their families and their future dreams a chance. And so we're just trying to give people a track to run on, right? And the sky's the limit. There's lots of different opportunities for ascension in our company, and you're comfortable to land kind of wherever you want, but we're always going to be creating more and more opportunity for you. And so I think that's a big part of people wanting to come talk to us. It's not just a job. It's really about trying to serve other people and using your gifts and passions to do that.
Yeah. And that's great stuff. So can you talk about one thing you mentioned here? Can you talk about the importance of the Ascension Plan and casting that vision, like really letting people know about the opportunity they have? Do you see that being the difference between a higher rate of successful hires and growth versus less successful?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we even talk about that in new hire orientation even after they've accepted, but we continually trying to put that in front of them. And I think that's why people come, and also we can point to people in the company where that's happened, right? It's not just something we say or whatever. It actually, I mean, myself, I'm an example. I'm just inspecting in the field, and Blake starts, casting vision in front of me to take on new responsibilities, and I was happy to do it. But there's lots of people. We even have people that come in with new ideas that are already members, already team members, and they come in with a new idea and they want to pursue it. We're like, that's great, and we'll try and resource them, equip them, help them put a kind of business plan together and pursue that angle. Utilities happen that way. one of the inspectors that stepped out of the field in terms of residential home inspections to take over the commercial inspection, Travis. That happened with him. And then there's just also opportunities to kind of move forward in terms of leadership. So an inspector can just inspect all they want. They can do 300, 500, whatever. They're in control of their schedule, how many inspections they want to do in a year, and be happy. But you also can be a lead inspector because you're organized in teams, and you can have a team under you. And then that can go higher to regional lead and so forth. So some of our guys, you can make, depending on how much you inspect, 7,500 to some of the guys make six figures, the leads and things like that, because they get a portion of everything that's under them. And so I think just casting that opportunity and just the fact that we try and bless people where they are in terms of their passions and utilize those and build strengths around those to perform, the tasks we're trying to do are some of the biggest things.
Wow. That's great stuff. And so we're talking about all this great stuff now. What do you see in the future of the industry? What's coming next?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I know that some of it is related to a little bit to what we're doing, not saying that we are the future, but kind of understanding yourself as more of a service industry or a service business that just happens to do inspections. So the more we can connect with the entire life cycle of owning a home, not only purchasing it, then moving into it, but then maintaining it while you own it, right? To the point then where you want to try and sell it. So it's all about protecting and building that equity, making sure things are done correctly with that house. So when you turn around to go inspect it, to sell it, and it gets inspected, it's like everything that you've done to it over the years has enhanced the value of it rather than decreased it. So it's a lot of education around that, connecting people with the right opportunities. But that is something that a lot of inspection companies are starting to get into, and expand those offerings and expand that, relationship with the client. But I don't know, the future is probably going to be even something beyond that I don't know necessarily we see yet, to tell you the truth. I mean, in many ways, inspections are still an analog thing, right? It's hard to go digital. You've got to actually go to a house and look at it and put it through its paces and so forth. So somehow, some point, there's going to be a better transition in that. It's not necessarily technology itself, it's how we use the technology, perhaps. And offering people, inspections or at least information about a home so they can make a good financial decision. And that's just the thing that really is so difficult in the in the inspection industry is, again, you just have to be on site. It's more it's analog than digital, like I was saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So, wow. We talked a little bit about what you think's coming next. What's coming next for Super Inspector? What are you guys working on next? Any big projects? Any special projects?
Well, a lot of it works around expansion. All right, into other cities, and so we're still trying to hire, cast vision, on the growth side, on the field services side, inspectors in all these different markets, trying to figure out how to do that better and better. Everyone's a new test case, and we learn what we do wrong. We like to just kind of charge forward and figure it out. We're messy in the beginning. We try and clean it up on the backside. That's usually my job, is cleaning up on the backside. But one of the things we're looking at now is talking to companies that might want to be considered kind of either a merger or acquisition in different markets. So we've had some good conversations over the last year or so with different people and trying to figure out how that would happen and what it would look like.
And how it can be a win-win, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of the I guess the big new immediate thing in the future. It's hard to, things change so fast, right, nowadays, Jake, that it's hard to really plan more than 3 months, or 3 years in advance. I mean, it's just
absolutely
everything can be different. So we try and be attuned to that all the time. We have a committee that's a research and development kind of committee, R&D, and trying to figure out, what to do, how to do it, so that in keeping home inspection relevant.
Yeah.
Right? in this process. It's becoming more and more online all the time.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. Well, is there anything else that you want to discuss today? Any other knowledge you want to impart on our audience?
Well, no, I mean, thank you for the opportunity. We're
My pleasure.
excited to learn more about PAIR all the time as well, and we're trying to bring that type of thinking into our industry as well, our own company, and offer that to our students and so forth. Every dollar counts, right, when you're trying to start out.
Yeah, and it's such an easy way to increase your profitability right off the bat without decreasing your level of service.
Right, yeah. So we're exploring that, and thankful for you guys, and again, thankful for the time to share today.
Our pleasure. As you know, we just, much like you guys, we just want to get the best information possible to our audience, to these home inspectors out there that want to grow their business. So thank you, Jeff, for doing that. You're doing that with the Training Academy, the school. You're doing that as the VP of Special Projects at Super Inspector, and you're doing that by coming on the podcast. So thank you very much, Jeff. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure the audience appreciates it as well.
Thanks, Jake.
All right, so thank you very much. So Jeff, thank you to the audience for tuning in today, and stay tuned. We have a fantastic roster of guests coming to you soon, so we will see you next week. Have a nice day.
Thanks for listening to the Inspection Pros Podcast. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the bell so you won't miss our next episode. This episode was produced by Jake Aronson. This has been a PAIR Payments production.